All right, peace and blessings, everybody. It's Friday, June the 22nd, the year 2018. Eddie Ray Kahn's wife sent me a 20-page letter that he has written to President Donald Trump. He's looking for our feedback. This same letter has been scanned and uploaded to his Dropbox location. So if you go to Year of Jubilee with one E, go to List of Other Prisoners, go down to Eddie Ray Kahn and click on his Dropbox. You will see this letter and you can download it and read it yourself. Eddie Ray Kahn is a Christian man. He's been in prison in, I believe, a North Carolina federal prison for over 12 years. And we're going to read his 20-page letter. Here we go. Dear President Donald Trump, request for a pardon of an innocent person. I am a 75-year-old federal prisoner. I have been incarcerated as a result of this case since September the 3rd, 2008. My wife and friends have been telling me that I am foolish for not writing you and asking for a pardon, since I have maintained from the arraignment until now that I am not just not guilty, but I am innocent of the charges. I continually stated on the court record that I was not the defendant in the case, that this was a case of mistaken identity. I asked for an identity hearing, which a federal judge is required to give you when there is even a possibility that the federal government is prosecuting the wrong person pursuant to FRCRP 5C3. I know you won't believe this, but neither Judge H.H. Kennedy, Jr., the original judge on the case, or Judge Royce Lamberth, who ended up finishing the case, would give me that hearing. Judge Lamberth said that he was going to, but never did. Both judges knew that the defendant and I were not the same entity, but the agenda of both the prosecutors and the judges was to put me in prison for a long period of time by hook or crook, and they were not going to let justice get in the way. Enclosed are court transcripts of my request for a judicial determination that the defendant and I are the same entity. Lawfully, no one can be prosecuted in a federal court without evidence being put in the court record by the prosecutors, as federal courts are courts of limited jurisdiction, that the person they have in custody is the defendant, President Trump. The prosecutors never attempted to put any such evidence in the record because they did not have any such evidence. But without it, the judges never had personal jurisdiction of my body, and both judges were very aware of it. As a result, legally, the case was null and void from the beginning. What happened, you say? Well, Judge Lamberth just bullied his way through the status conferences and the farce of a trial. I did not attend the trial, since the only thing that is adjudicated at a trial is the merits of the case. I would not have been able to speak since I was not the defendant. I also could not speak for the defendant because I am not an attorney. Not surprisingly, there was a conviction. I appealed because not being an attorney, I did not know what else to do. Then a strange thing happened. Unbeknownst to me, Judge Lamberth sent a disposition of the case to the appeals court that was drastically different from the one that is on PACER, Public Access to Court Documents via Computer. On the appeals court disposition, it states, for internal use only. It states, verdict of guilty, mistrial declared. It does not state those words on the disposition that is on PACER. Question, how can you have two different dispositions for the same case? I can't get anyone to answer that question. There are a number of other differences, but the major difference is that the one that was sent to the appeals court is actually a part of the case record, as can be verified by the file and date stamp and document number at the top of the page. The disposition on PACER does not have such a stamp, proving that it was put on PACER in a deliberate attempt to deceive the general public and the participants in this case. Question, if Judge Lamberth declared a mistrial and I was never identified by the prosecutors as being the defendant, Kahn, capital Kahn, by what authority am I in prison? In 2015, by God's grace, I got a copy of the disposition that had been sent to the appeals court. After reading it and wanting to make sure I was interpreting it correctly, I wrote to Judge Lamberth. I asked him the date he declared the mistrial, as it is not on the docket sheet. I also asked him why he declared the mistrial. No response. I sent a total of 3 certified mail letters asking those questions. Silence. I also wrote the Chief Judge, Richard Roberts, twice, asking him to use his supervisory power to force Judge Lamberth to respond to my request. No response from him either. Are you surprised? Judge Roberts was demoted last year for having sex with an underage girl some years back. Note, I am specifically not sending this request to the pardon attorney. Reason. The only reason I'm in prison is because of the fraud perpetrated on me and the court by Judges Kennedy and Lamberth and the prosecutors. They are all members of the same fraternity, the Washington, D.C. Bar. There is no way the pardon attorney is going to let all the misconduct, I am trying to be civil, of the judges and prosecutors see the light of day. And if he saw all the evidence that I have accumulated, it would be his duty as a fraternity brother to deep six this request. Also, I am not asking you to commute the sentence, as I am not the defendant. Only a defendant can ask you to commute his sentence. I am asking you to pardon me because I am illegally imprisoned. Bottom line, if Judge Lamberth declared a mistrial, even if I was the defendant, the case would be void. The defendant would not legally be sent to prison. Judge Lamberth's refusal to confirm that he declared a mistrial is keeping me in prison, even though he has declared the case a nullity on the official disposition. I am asking you, President Trump, to right this egregious wrong. You have the power to do it. If you believe in God Almighty and His admonition to do the things that are right in His eyes, this act of justice would get you some points, I believe. What do you think? Sincerely, Eddie Ray Kahn, P.O. Box 630, Winton, North Carolina 27986. P.S. My wife voted for you. She still believes in you. Please show her that she made the right choice. Enclosures are the official court disposition, number 1. Number 2, the deceitful court disposition. Number 3, third letter to Judge Lamberth. Number 4, second letter to Judge Roberts. Number 5, court transcript where I am asking Judge Kennedy to make a judicial determination that the defendant Kahn, capital K-A-H-N, and I are the same entity. Number 6, court transcript where Judge Lamberth is taking over the case and is stating that he recognizes that I have challenged the court's in personam jurisdiction and that it would have to be proven with evidence at a hearing, which never happened. Alright, at this point on page 5, it goes into various documents. I'm not going to go read those documents because there looks like a lot of them are legal documents. So if you want to read Eddie Ray Kahn's letters with his attachments and enclosures, please go to Year of Jubilee, Jubilee spelled with 1 E. Click on List of Other Prisoners. They're in alphabetical order. Go down to Kahn, and you'll see a Dropbox location where this letter, as well as our first letter from Mr. Kahn, and also some photos of Eddie Ray Kahn have been uploaded to his Dropbox. I'm sure he would love to hear your feedback for his request for a pardon. I do pray that you do write him a letter and give him your feedback. Thank you for your time.